Hello, 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 and welcome to Friendship Empire. I am the Empress, and on today's episode, we are talking about the mysterious death of the Diamond Prince. This was a story that hit the tabloid press a little more than a week ago. It was the end of June in 2025 that the stories about the passing of Prince Harald von Hohenzollern made the press. And as I am speaking, it is the 8th of July, 2025. So, yes, just over a week ago. And this is, here we go. Here, as you can see in the lower left-hand corner, that is Harald. With the flag behind him. And this was the coverage from Hello magazine. It was covered in the Daily Mail. It was covered in the New York Post. It was covered in the Daily Beast. It was covered in various online outlets. Very disproportionate amount of coverage for a man who was not super well known, not very famous. I don't know that any members of the princely Hohenzollern family are actually that famous, especially outside of Germany, unless you happen to be a royal watcher who watches the various. I mean, this is a deposed royal family. They are no longer reigning anywhere, although the Hohenzollern family, a German, both royal and aristocratic family, they have branches that did actually sit on thrones. The kings of Prussia and the emperors of Germany were of the Hohenzollern family, and that branch is still kicking, although as of post-World War I, they have no throne, no German empire, no Prussian kingdom to speak of. And similarly, the princes, the reigning princes of Hohenzollern, they no longer have their seat, but they certainly have a more than one lovely castle. The Hohenzollern family does. There's a branch of the Hohenzollerns that became the Romanian royal family, and even though they, like their German cousins, are no longer on an actual throne, the Romanian royal family, which got exiled from Romania, are back in the country, although not quite reigning. But anyway, the Hohenzollern family itself, and how, you might wonder, how did Romania get a German royal family? Well, another story for another time. The Romanian royal family, that would be a wonderful series that we will do in the future. The scandals of the Romanian royal family, and I think the scandals of the family, there may even be more since they've lost their throne than there were when they were actually reigning. But back to this Hohenzollern, Harald, and his mysterious death. Well, I suppose his death proper was not the mysterious part. It was unexpected. It was tragic and sudden. But the mystery was, who was Harald? Who was Harald of Hohenzollern? Fond meaning of. It said he was a prince, and yet royal watchers, particularly genealogists, were scratching their heads, wondering, who is this guy? Why is he calling himself a Prince of Hohenzollern when he cannot be found amongst the genealogical tables, the family trees that are well known to people who study such things? And lo and behold, it only took about a week, but the answer was revealed, and the mystery of the man that the German press has called the Diamond Prince was solved. And let's go to the German press. This is from Bild, and this has been translated from the German, so pardon me if there are any weird phrases that were mistranslated by the automatic translation. But So this is from Bild, the 25th of June. Okay, so much more than a week ago, about 2 weeks ago, as I am speaking, 25th of June, 2025. Harald von Hohenzollern dies of a heart attack. Diamond Prince leaves behind pregnant widow, 51. And there on the left is Harald, and on the right, his widow, Josefa. And as it says, the two married only in October of last year. So newlyweds. And as we're going to find out, they were expecting their first child when, unfortunately, Harald passed. So continuing the article, this is Leonberg. Sad news from Leonberg, population 50,000 in Baden-Württemberg. And that is, Baden-Württemberg is a state within the country. She shared, I write today with a heavy heart. My beloved husband, Harald von Hohenzollern, passed away completely unexpectedly from a sudden cardiac death. This loss hits me deeply. I need time to grieve, to say goodbye, and to be there for our unborn child. Therefore, I will be withdrawing from the election campaign and from social media in the coming days. And yes, she's pregnant, 51, running for mayor, and is now bereaved. That's a lot for anyone to deal with. But yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so the couple's first child is due in July, so imminently. The child could have been born today, for all I know. I have not seen a story about that, but who knows? It could happen. It could have happened. Continuing, the widow had just announced her candidacy for mayor of Leonberg on Friday. Oh, what horrible timing. Her late husband was also known as the Diamond Prince. Prince Harald of Hohenzollern-Emden was the head of a gemstone company in Windhoek, Namibia. And Namibia is, if you're not familiar, an African country that is, let's see, if you know where South Africa is, at the very, very bottom of the continent, Namibia is just north of South Africa on the west coast. Yes, the Atlantic side of the Atlantic Ocean side of the continent. So continuing, the local politician originally planned to participate in several events this coming weekend. However, Josefa von Hohenzollern has now canceled all of her appointments and is withdrawing from public life for the time being. Despite the blow of fate, she intends to continue her candidacy. That would also be in my husband's best interest, she told the Stuttgarter Nachrichten. Not sure how that would be in his interest, but okay. The couple had married just last year. Yes, we know that. The princess and her prince had married just last fall, in 2024. The ceremony took place in the presence of close family. The two met 2 years ago in Stuttgart. Initial sympathy quickly turned into love, as Josefa Schmid, the mayor's real surname, maiden surname, once said. The wedding took place while the politician was on compulsory leave. Martin Georg Kohn, 59, mayor of Leonberg, SPD, that's, I believe, the abbreviation for his political party, had removed her from office in 2023 for breach of official duties. This followed various disputes between the two. And again, we're not going to get more into that. Because we're not here to discuss politics. But so just taking a little perusal, that pretty much sums up the situation as it stood in late June, early July, as the death of Harald von Hohenzollern, or I guess to be legally accurate, his name in Germany legally would be Harald Prince von Hohenzollern, because after the abolition of the monarchy post-World War I in Germany, it has been illegal for titles to be used as titles. So the title, for example, Prince of Hohenzollern, whether be predicated by His Royal Highness or Her Highness or some kind of style, even though socially that's still done, legally, like on your documents, your passport, your birth certificate, whatnot, you can't legally use a title because legally they do not exist. However, what one does if one is royal or aristocratic and has a title, it can be used as a surname, but in total, in full. So the surname, for example, if you are Prince of Hohenzollern, Prince von Hohenzollern, it would be, that's your surname. Prince of Hohenzollern in German with the von would be your surname. Your wife, if you married, your wife or husband or whatever, your spouse, could also take that surname. Of course, it would be amended depending on what version, they wanted to use, prince or princess. If you are a duke, you can marry a woman and she can take the surname and call herself, her surname can be Duchess of whatever the location would be. And presumably, this transfers same-sex marriages, same thing. You could take the surname, what have you. And men who marry women who have titles can also legally change their surname to reflect the surname of their new wife and take the title in the surname. I hope that makes sense. So titles sort of still exist in Germany, but they exist as surnames. You're not supposed to run around calling yourself the Prince of, but the princes who still exist, they do, but socially. For example, if you look on a wedding invitation or a funeral notice, it may say the title with the styles and all of that, but legally, it's not going to be on your death certificate and whatnot. So, your tax documents are not going to have your title and style, but your surname will be your title. Okay. So that's one way that one could be the prince. He does have that surname, and of course his wife shares that surname. So let's take a look. Here was Hello's coverage, and again, it's very redundant. We look here, Josefa currently running to be reelected as mayor of Leonberg, a town in the German federal state of Baden-Württemberg. She actually was a mayor in another town in another German state. And here are more pictures. I think one of the articles is going to mention that. But anyway, here are Harald and Josefa. Many photos of the lovely newlyweds. Their time together cut too short. And right. Okay, so according to Paris Match, the pair had met 2 years earlier at a trade fair. Here we go. The House of Hohenzollern is a former royal German dynasty with members hailing from Hohenzollern, the place, Brandenburg, Prussia, the German Empire, and Romania. There you go. Meanwhile, Josefa is known as the singing mayor for her love of music and participation in cultural events. And indeed, we have a video of Josefa singing that I will play a little bit of in just a moment. So that was Hello's coverage. We have the Daily Mail, and let's see if they have anything. They again reiterate a lot of the information from the previous articles. And it says, while Josefa has put her campaigning duties on hold, she's previously discussed the need for female representatives among the mayors in Baden-Württemberg. Okay. And so she goes on about that. And this article says it doesn't know if she's going to continue her candidacy, but of course she has said that she will. And, okay, then they talk about something else. Oh, now they drag this is great. They drag the king of the UK, King Charles, into this, talking about the House previously made headlines in May when a fake German prince. Wait, a fake German prince? You don't say. We're going to run into more than one fake German prince during this show. Trust me, it's coming. More are coming. As well as real princes. So this fake German prince who was using the name, as we look down here, His Serene Highness Dr. Donatus, Prince of Hohenzollern, spent the better part of 2 decades schmoozing with Britain's elite. And he used a legal loophole to access high society, rubbing shoulders with King Charles. Well, that's and here, this is a little bit of foreshadowing. The article mentions that the man calling him himself Donatus, Prince of Hohenzollern, is really a 64-year-old music teacher called Marcus Hensel, who was only able to do this after paying to be adopted by the House of Hohenzollern at the age of 42. The real Prince of Hohenzollern, Karl Frederic, who's going to come up in just a moment, the head of the House of Hohenzollern, hit out at Donatus for using his family's name. He told the son, "It makes me angry and frustrated. It leaves a very bitter taste in my mouth. Donatus is not my blood. He is not a member of the German royal family. He is simply a non-royal name bearer. He certainly cannot use the moniker of Serene Highness." And yes, the style of Serene Highness would not be his to use. And actually, technically, the title of Prince of Hohenzollern would not be his to use. It's a surname. And to sort of reiterate this point, if I may, something that I've noticed in the traditions of the German royal and aristocratic families that are still running around, when they have it really depends on the house and who's making the decisions, the head of the house, what the rules are and whatnot. In some cases, what they used to call unequal marriages are accepted. And so members of the house, be they royal or noble, are allowed to marry complete commoners, those sad souls with neither title nor style before their name. But in other cases, that's not allowed, it's not approved, and therefore the children, the product of an unequal marriage, are not entitled to use the title and style of, say, their father. It's usually through the male line. However, one thing that they have done sometimes is that a child, sometimes you see this with illegitimate children or adopted children. You might see that they might have just the von and then the place name, like von Hohenzollern, or the family name. Sometimes you see with the prince or princess, but sometimes they do away with that. But it's kind of hard to tell, like the prince or princess and von surname, for example, like in this case, Hohenzollern, that could be reflecting of children of an unequal marriage. But it can also reflect just the legal surname of someone who is, by the house rules, the royal house rules, entitled to use that title. Or it could just be, the legal situation, right? So it's always a little bit confusing if you see someone with that title as surname, because it could be anyone. It could be a real royal or noble. It could be someone who's really part of the family, but not legally or I guess socially entitled to use the title. Or it could be someone who did this, and this is not uncommon. We're going to see this again. People who pay to be adopted legally by a legitimate member of a royal house or noble house, and then they append that surname, the title as the surname, and then they start using the title as a title, not just as a surname. And it's really inexcusable. As we look in this article, it says this fake Prince Donatus, this is a different guy, different prince, it says is connected to several music organizations and charities alongside King Charles and Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, the king's cousin. Royals always know one another. You're not going to get by faking it. So if this guy was able to rub shoulders with people who would have known darn well that he was not their actual relative, well, one must wonder what that is all about. Now, there is a long story here, and I want to get back to Harold, so I'm not going to go into this, but these are legitimate, Hello, Daily Mail, New York Post, legitimate media outlets. They're all just going with the Hohenzollern thing, okay? For example, the end of this article. Josefa assumed the princess title after marrying Harald, who belonged to the former royal German dynasty called the House of Hohenzollern, the dynasty which dates back to 1061. Yes, 1061. Boasts historical ties to the Hohenzollern family, Brandenburg, Prussia, Romania, and the German Empire. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes on. So right now, I would like to take a moment to remind you that you are listening to Friendship Empire. I am the Empress, and I would love it if you could hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment either in the chat, or if you're joining us live, or if you're catching this on the replay, on the video itself. We are trying to make our way toward monetization so that we can offer more to the users and subscribers of the channel in the form of super chats and memberships and super stickers. So every little bit helps. If you can like, subscribe, and comment, that would be fantastic. Now, continuing with the story of the Diamond Prince and his mysterious backgrounds and his death. So we will move on now, 1 second, to a little more background on Harald and Josefa. So, well, she is the singing mayor. So here we go. This was when they were married just last year. This is October. And I notice one of the authors credited on this article from Bild, a German magazine, is a Castle Rudenhausen, which is a countly house. So here's someone who has a aristocratic surname, but they're not using... pardon me, they're not using the von, they're not using the von und zu, they're not using the of, basically, and they're also not using the countess. I presume she would be a countess, because it's a countly house, and but just going with the simple surname, very modest, very humble. So continue. Let's take a look at this article. This is when they got married. Okay, Josefa Schmid, 50, FDP, presumably that is her political party's abbreviation, became known as the singing mayor. Now she can also call herself a princess. The well-known politician has married diamond entrepreneur Prince Harald of Hohenzollern-Emden, 62, and Bild exclusively shows a photo of the new royal couple. Schmidt recently quarreled with her boss. I think we heard a little bit about that at the beginning of the show, when one of the earlier articles. The newly crowned princess, she's not crowned, but okay, is considered a resolute woman who, as first mayor of Leonberg, Baden-Württemberg, recently clashed with the local mayor, yes, we did hear about this, Martin Kohn, 58, SPD, among other things because of delicate love affairs. What? This is a great photo. I like her outfit, and I like the sort of onion dome on the top of this clock tower here. That's nice. And it says chic. Well, they agree with me. She looks nice. The princess in Kolnberg, where she grew up on a farm as Josefa Schmid. Okay, as head of the Bremen branch of the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees, she caused a sensation in 2018 when she pointed out errors in the asylum process there. She published her cover version of Voice da Herz hast via a Bergwerk. I believe that's a cover by this Reinhard Fendrich guy. It's his original song, but she put up a video for it. We have that video. And yes, the next line says, she also has a sense of humor. She would have to. We're going to play a little bit of the video in a moment. And yeah, it's a treat. Not too much of it, though. Okay, during her time as mayor of Kolmberg in Bavaria, there you go. She was a mayor in Bavaria, and now she's running to be mayor in a town in Baden-Württemberg. She placed an ad in the Deutsches Ärzteblatt, German medical journal, seeking a new family doctor for the community, and remarked with a wink, "The mayor is still single." The liberal, okay, I guess she's a liberal politician, who is currently the first mayor of Leonberg, didn't get a doctor, but she did get a prince. Now, okay, I read a different article, and it may have been in her Wikipedia. We'll check that in a moment, because she's that official. She has a Wikipedia page. It said that she put an ad, put that ad saying she was single, not because she was actually looking for a date, but to highlight the fact that they had so few doctors in her, I guess it's sort of like a countryside, remote. I don't know how rural it is, but that they're out in the country and they don't get a lot of doctors. And this was one way to attract a doctor. And it said that they actually did fill the spot. They did get a doctor for her town, but it wasn't her, he didn't become her boyfriend. So she did get a prince. She says, "I met Harald 2 years ago at a trade fair. For me, it was love at first sight. And then with the prince, the spark clicked." And then they mention again that he's the head of a diamond company in Africa. It's almost 8,000 kilometers as the crow flies from Leonberg. But by plane, it's only 10 hours, a stone's throw away for love. The wedding took place in a small circle at the registry office in Kolmberg, where the newly crowned princess served as mayor from 2008 to 2020. The couple plans to spend their honeymoon in Namibia in the winter, which is also summer in the southern hemisphere. From the looks of things, it's going to be a summer of love. Oh, no. Oh, how terrible. Instead, it became a summer of death. Well, that's just sad. Okay, well, there's the lovely so-called Princess of Hohenzollern. And as I promised, here is her webpage, her Wikipedia page. We're not reading this, but just, it just says, yes, she's a politician. She is a mayor in one town, was a mayor in another town, and married to Harald, Prince of Hohenzollern-Emden. And it mentions, her education, her work. I'm just scrolling down very quickly because I wanted to get to this highlighted area. And there you go. It said she wanted to draw attention to the shortage of rural doctors. As a result, a specialist settled in the community. So good for her. She was able to serve her community well. And now I want to show you, as scrolling back, it mentions here again, she made herself a name for herself as the singing mayor. She published her cover version of Reinhard Fendrich's song, Voice da Herz hast wir a Bergwerk. We had a heart like mine, on the internet. So let me pull that up. One moment. Okay. There we go. And I think you can see that. I hope the sound is all right. We're just going to play a little bit of this. I'm going to have to scooch ahead to get her vocals. There's a bit of a instrumental introduction. So.
Weil du stolz bist, wenn du wohnst und die trotzdem zuerinnerst, wo ich die. Weil man warm wird, wenn du lachst und dein Herz.
Okay, I think you get the idea there. Her outfit looks lovely. The view, the landscape is lovely, and the singing is, well, it's inoffensive, I would say. I'm not going to scrub to that. Well, you might be able to see. Yes, you can see. All right. If you look at the big peak on the bar there, the scrub bar, it shows you where the most replayed section of the video is. I don't wish to play this section because I want to keep this YouTube and family in general audience friendly. But there is a scene, and you could see the box, the like square within the rectangle within the rectangle, her feet. She dives into the water, and then there's a shot of her coming out of the water at the edge of this pier or whatever it is, and she's wearing a red bikini, and of course the camera is looking down as she's getting up out of the water, and it's not exactly Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but it's definitely, you get a shot of her chest, and that's why it must be the most replayed shot in a portion of the video, because people wanted to see the mayor in her bikini top. So there you go. The mayor, princess now, sort of, she seems to like the attention, and she certainly gets it. So there you go, a little bit of Josefa's singing, the singing mayor. And okay, now back to our articles. Now, here's where the mystery was solved. Who exactly is Prince Harald? You might notice that not a single one of these obituary articles mention his family, who was his father, who was his mother, did he have any siblings, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's kind of a good answer for that. And here we go to, this is Histoire Royale, a French blog. This is translated into the English, and this is dated the 6th of July, 2025. And I found this article because, I see Psychoclast in the chat. Hello, Psychoclast. Very traditional. Yes, very traditional to wear what is that, a dirndl? The German, the outfit, the dress, and yes, a red bikini. I don't know how to say bikini in German. It may be bikini, but okay. So after the death of Prince Harald, I was perusing royal discussion boards, message boards, and I noticed that the royal watchers and genealogists, the experts themselves, were saying, or the amateur experts in some cases, were saying, "Who is this guy? Like, where did he come from? I cannot find him in any genealogical tables, family trees, what have you." Finally, someone had a link to this article, which solves the mystery of the Diamond Prince Harald von Hohenzollern. So they write, are the Diamond Prince and his pregnant widow really members of the German imperial family? A few days ago, the German press reported the death of Prince Harald of Hohenzollern-Emden, just months after his marriage to a former German mayor. The widow, who calls herself Princess Josefa, is 8 months pregnant. The head of the Sigmaringen branch of the Hohenzollern family is now setting the record straight and distancing himself from the deceased. He is not part of the family. Harald and Josefa of Hohenzollern-Emden are not, I repeat, not related to the royal family. Dear fellow citizens of Leonberg, and then they reiterate, we already went over this on an earlier article, so I'm not going to repeat what Josefa wrote after. It was the announcement of her husband's death. And again, they say that she is in an advanced state of pregnancy, expecting a son at the age of 51, whom she will name Leopold, which a lovely royal name. This announcement shocked Germany, and the information made the rounds of all the editorial offices. Despite various advanced genealogical research, it was impossible to trace the lineage between Harald and the Hohenzollern family. And there's Harald, you can see, look, ooh, double vision. This Sunday, July 6, Prince Karl Frederic of Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen, head of the family, issued a statement denouncing the misuse of the deceased's titles by Harald during his lifetime and by his wife, Josefa. Since the abolition of the monarchy and the nobility in Germany, the title of nobility has become an integral part of the surname. And I explained this earlier. The word prince, therefore, appears in the name, but is no longer a title as such. There are many cases in history where German princes adopted adult men in order to pass on their name to them. In the case of the deceased, things are a little different. Well, there are cases in history where royals and nobles may adopt, say, a cousin or a nephew if they, for example, if the head of the house or the title holder is childless, they may, look around and try to find someone who's actually in the family that they can pass the title along to, possibly, a female descended relative where traditionally it would, the inheritance and whatnot would go through the male lines, but maybe you find a female descended individual and you go, okay, I will adopt this man and he's still part of the family, just this makes it more official. But here we're talking about people who are completely unrelated, completely random, commoners being adopted by the royals to get for money because they were, the royals and nobles were, impoverished at times, struggling to pay upkeep on the castles, and sometimes just trying to, pay for regular lives, no longer living in the castles. So continuing with this article, the case has generated a lot of media attention in Germany due to the widow's advanced pregnancy, but also because of her notoriety. And then they mention again, she used to be a mayor in Bavaria, her hometown, for 12 years. That's no small feat, that she must have been rather popular there. And then she was running again for mayor in another town in another state in Germany. And then they talk about, again, this says that it ended her current campaign. But we read in a different article that she claims she will continue her campaign for mayor even while she's imminently about to give birth, or perhaps giving birth as I speak. And yes, Harold, a diamond dealer from Munich, that's new information, who has settled in Namibia in Africa and is nicknamed the Diamond Prince. Okay. Oh, that is the Namibian flag. I thought that might be the case. All right. Continuing. Harold, Prince of Hohenzollern-Emden, obtained his name through marriage. And here we get into a little bit of royal history. It was strange not being able to trace Harold of Hohenzollern-Emden's family tree, as very few members of the family had the name Emden attached to their surname. In 1911, Prince Franz Josef, twin brother of the head of the Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen family, enlisted in the Imperial Navy. In 1913, he was assigned to the cruiser Emden, where he participated in several battles during the First World War, including one in the Cocos Islands. The ship ran aground on a coral reef, and 136 sailors died. How terrible. After the war, survivors of the battle were given permission to add the name Emden to their surnames. Prince Franz Josef did so in 1933. Prince Franz Josef's descendants have since borne the name Hohenzollern-Emden. But Harald von Hohenzollern is not a descendant of the family, as the Sigmaringen branch leader explained in the press today. He is not part of our family. We do not know him personally. He is not related to us, and he is not descended from our family. In fact, the deceased was born Tom Harald Krieger. Tom Harald Krieger married Princess Angela of Hohenzollern-Emden in 1997, who herself had adopted this name through her first marriage in 1991 to Prince Karl Alexander of Hohenzollern-Emden. Prince Karl Alexander is indeed the grandson of Franz Josef, the soldier prince who fought on the ship Emden. So we have a real prince, and let me see. I may be able to do this through the Wikipedia. They don't have a link. Okay, they don't have a link there. Let me pull it up real quick. I think Franz Josef. I don't know why that's doing that weird type ahead. Oops, I spelled it wrong. Okay. Oh, we're in German. Okay. Here. Okay, so this is the... Can I put this in English? Let me make this English. There we go. Okay, so the guy who is calling out, Karl Frederic, the actual Prince of Hohenzollern, the Sigmaringen guy, this was his grandfather, Friedrich Victor. His younger twin brother, this guy, his younger twin brother is Prince Franz Josef. That is the grandfather of the Karl Alexander, the real Prince of Hohenzollern-Emden. You can see they're twins. They look alike. We are going to take a look at Karl Alexander because he is one colorful guy. You may have noticed in the title or on the crawl bar at the bottom of the screen, Prince Gaga. Well, Karl Alexander is Prince Gaga, and we're going to meet him in just a little bit. But so these were twin brothers. The elder got to be the reigning Prince of Hohenzollern, and the younger brother is the one who was in the Navy and attached the Emden. So you've got the Hohenzollern. Let me scroll back. Well, they don't have it on here. Sigmaringen. That's this Hohenzollern branch. And then the other branch comes from the other brother, the Emden branch. And so this guy, Franz Josef, his grandson, Karl Alexander, married a lady named Angela, who then later married Harold, the guy on the lower left-hand corner of your screen with the Namibian flag behind him. And this transference through two people, a woman who married a Hohenzollern, and then the man who married her after the fact. That's how we transferred the transitive property of the royal surname. That's how that happened. Okay, I hope that's clear. So continuing. Following this controversy, Josefa von Hohenzollern removed the reference to princess from her social media and issued a statement to clarify the situation. She states that her husband is the heir to a famous jeweler dynasty. She also admits that he acquired the princely title through his previous marriage to a longtime friend, a now deceased Princess of Hohenzollern. However, she does point out that her late husband was, by law, a noble prince from the House of Hohenzollern belonging to the high European nobility. Well, that's not true, but okay. It's all a matter of interpretation, since he had indeed legally acquired the right to bear this name. Yes, bear the name, but not the title, and it doesn't make him part of the House of Hohenzollern. Houses have rules, and I'm pretty sure that if it is not explicitly spelled out in the house rules themselves, then, it would just be one of those things. You're not covered, then it doesn't count. You know what I mean? Okay, so continue. Oh, and it just continues again. The Hohenzollerns, we heard this before, notably became kings of Prussia and also German emperors. The Sigmaringen branch ruled the Principality of Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen until its annexation into the Hohenzollern province of the Kingdom of Prussia in 1849. A member of the family also became the founder of the last dynasty of Romanian kings. True enough. And so that guy, Karl Friedrich, the actual head of the Hohenzollern family, the Sigmaringen branch, who is the second cousin of this Karl Alexander, the real prince whose ex-wife married Harold, the guy on the screen, and transferred that princely surname to him. This is the castle. This is the castle, the Hohenzollern castle in Sigmaringen, as you can tell possibly by the German on screen, and it looks like it just grows up out of the rock. I love this. I've seen this before, the castles that are on like cliffs or cliff sides or mountain tops, where it literally looks like it sort of grew up out of the mountain. I mean, it kind of did, but not naturally. Human hands wrought it. So that's gorgeous. And just scrolling down, we're not reading all of this. I just wanted to show this is the actual Prince of Hohenzollern, this guy in the back. That's Carl Friedrich, the man who said that Harold, over here on the left-hand side of your screen, is was not a member of the royal family, not actually related. Psychoclast in the chat says, that's very striking. It is beautiful, isn't it? And if you're looking at the picture on the screen right now, what's striking to me is the absolute lack of paintings or pictures that are on the walls of the room that the reigning prince and his wife are in. There's like a mirror on the wall, and that's pretty much it. Usually you see paintings and framed pictures and whatnot all over the walls, ancestral portraits, framed pictures of horses and whatnot. But this is very stripped down and very modern, considering the leopard print sofa, very modern, mixed in with some of the antiques and the family photos you can see here, tastefully clustered on the end table in the back. So that is the actual Carl Friedrich. That's here, I'll show you on Wikipedia really quickly. This was his grandfather. It says Frederic, but it should be Friedrich. They translated the German. There you go. They translated it. And then here, scroll. Sorry for the fast scrolling. Where's his father? His father was Friedrich Wilhelm. And there's a painting of Carl Friedrich's father. And then, that's ancestry. And then, of course, Carl Friedrich. And there he is. There you see, he's the guy. He's the guy who said, Harold is not one of us. Okay, so I mentioned fake princes, and I mentioned Karl Alexander, the actual Prince of Hohenzollern-Emden, the branch of the younger twin brother, okay? Carl Friedrich here, or as Charles Frederick, as it has been translated into English, he is the descendant of the elder branch, the older of the two twin brothers. So who's the descendant of the younger brother, Franz Josef, the Emden guy who was in the Navy on the boat? Well, let's take a look at Carl Alexander, because he has an interesting marital history himself. Okay, as you can see, if you have eyes on the screen, it says, Carl Alexander of Hohenzollern, Frederic von Anhalt set him up. And you may recall I spoke about many such cases of people buying their titles. Well, we have a new prince has entered the chat, and he's one of them. So on the left side, or the left side of your screen, that is the man who calls himself Prince Frederic of Anhalt, Prince Frederic von Anhalt. And on the right, that's the actual Hohenzollern-Emden Prince, Carl Alexander, who is known in the German press as Prince Gaga. Now, this is a much, obviously, if you can see on the screen, this is an article from 2011. That is a very dated photo of Carl Alexander. We will be seeing some more recent photos of Gaga. I think he kind of has a little bit of a Napoleon Dynamite look, at least when he was younger. I've noticed, and maybe you will agree if you're familiar with the Dilbert creator, Scott Adams, older Prince Gaga looks more Scott Adamsy. I feel younger Prince Gaga looks a little more Napoleon Dynamite-y. But You be the judge and let me know. Drop your opinion in the chat, or leave a comment under the video if you're catching this not live. And again, if you are catching this live, we've been going for almost an hour live now, and this is French Dip Empire. I am the Empress, and please do us a favor, hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe, and yeah, leave a comment. Every little bit helps YouTube to notice the channel and, suggest it to other people who might be interested in this content. And we're also on our march toward monetization so that we can give more features on the channel to subscribers, such as memberships, super chats, and super stickers. And in the chat, I see Psychoclast. He's the spitting image of Napoleon Dynamite. Frederic looks weirdly Fauci-esque. Oh, you know what? Now that I do see that, he does have a little bit of a Fauci thing. They kind of have a little elfin quality, elfin quality, I suppose. Maybe it's just the ears, but he looks like an aged Keebler elf. Also, Anhalt, the guy on the left. The left in the article, not the left of your screen. That, of course, is Harald, the, now we know, fake Prince of Hohenzollern, all the way on the left. But, okay, let's take a look at this article. So this is Prince Gaga. No relation to Lady Gaga, but hey, that would be a heck of a collab. So Frederic von Anhalt set him up. And while it sounds nefarious, usually when you say, oh, he set him up, it's like something bad, but they mean he set him up with a woman. Although, as we progress in this bit of the story, maybe it was a bit of a setup in the negative sense of that phrase. So let's continue. Prince Frederic von Anhalt is always good for a surprise. The 67-year-old revealed to bunte.de, that's a German magazine, that he's pursuing a career as a royal matchmaker. His first success, marrying Karl Alexander von Hohenzollern. The wedding will take place on Thursday. Even noblemen sometimes need a little help in matters of love. In the case of Karl Alexander von Hohenzollern, Cupid is none other than Zsa Zsa Gabor's husband, Prince Frederic von Anhalt. I hope, if you're listening, that you are aware of who Zsa Zsa Gabor is, or was, I should say. She is no longer with us. She was an actress and a bit of a cultural phenomenon for a while there. If you are not familiar with Zsa Zsa and you're just kind of like, who? Maybe you're too young to recall this woman who's been dead since almost 10 years now. We're going to take just a brief look and explain who she is, because she married her own fake prince, and they are deserving of at least, Zsa Zsa could practically be a series unto herself, and Frederic, the man who calls himself Frederic, the Prince of Anhalt, he's definitely worth a show on his own, and I think we're going to have to do that in the future, because this has stirred up a lot of fun memories of gossip and tabloid articles about both the fake Prince of Anhalt and Zsa Zsa. But let's go with Karl Alexander for the moment. Put a pin in Zsa Zsa, and let's get back to Prince Gaga and Princess Zsa Zsa. Okay, so as the 67-year-old, that being Frederic von Anhalt, confirmed to bunte.de, von Hohenzollern will be getting married on Thursday. Now remember, this is from 2011, with a woman Frederic introduced to him. Alexander absolutely wants to get married again, Frederic von Anhalt told Bunte. That's why I introduced him to Maya Sonia. I invited her to dinner, and there was an instant spark between the two. It's true love. The 40-year-old from the German imperial family, definitely, he actually is, whose marriage to the German Angela Stolzle. Remember Princess Angela, who later married Harald, the guy over here on the lower left? That's how he got that surname? Okay. The German Angela Stolzle, 70, ended in the 1990s. Yes, the 40-year-old Prince Gaga, who's actually the Hohenzollern prince, he was married to a woman who was 30 years older than him. And there's a little more information about Angela. that we're going to get in an article just coming up. The story gets really weird and very seedy. Okay, ended in the 1990s, has fallen head over heels in love with a 35-year-old American whose roots lie in Nigeria. She's very slim, very beautiful, very rich. Frederic explains the qualities of his chosen one. All the other women have always taken advantage of Alexander. She spoils him, picks him up in her Rolls Royce, dresses him. She's simply the perfect match for him. Sure. Okay. Here. And then we scooch ahead. Now it's 2012. Frederic of Anhalt. She just wanted the princess title. Imagine that, someone only wanting to marry someone for a title when you could just pay to get adopted by them. The dream wedding in Las Vegas is now followed by a nightmare divorce. Prince Karl Alexander of Hohenzollern and his wife, Karina. And you may be thinking to yourself, but wait, Empress, didn't you just say her name was Maya Sonia? I did indeed. This is another woman, a second woman, with a very similar background. He didn't actually marry Maya, but he did marry Karina. I'll explain a little bit more when we get to. We're getting there. Just hang with me. Okay. They're going their separate ways. Why the bride fled to Austria, what the jilted husband is saying, and why Frederic von Anhalt is ranting, Bunta asked. Okay, on February 23, 2012, Karl Alexander, Prince of Hohenzollern, 41, had his greatest dream come true. The prince married Austrian model Karina, 21, in Las Vegas. I've said it. If I've said it once, I've said it again, and I've said it plenty of times on our shows. Don't get married in Las Vegas. It's bad luck. No judgment. I'm just warning you. Getting married in Las Vegas is a bad omen for a future happy marriage. I wouldn't recommend it, and I've seen time and again, Vegas marriages, generally speaking, don't end up well. Now, I'm sure many, many fine people have had many long and happy marriages despite being married in Las Vegas. But I emphasize the word despite. Okay, back to the article. His best man was Karl Alexander's closest confidant, Prince Frederic von Anhalt, 67. Zsa Zsa Gabor's husband, 95, raved to Bunta at the time. This will definitely last. His ex-girlfriends always tried to rip him off, but it's different with Karina. She wants to be with him. Do you think it will last? We're going to find out. But Frederic was clearly mistaken. Just 2 months after the wedding, the divorce was filed. After the wedding, Karina flew to Austria to get her papers, but she just didn't come back. Frederic von Anhalt reported angrily in an interview with Bunta. Then 4 weeks ago, I got a call from her. She told me, "I don't love you, and I'm not coming back," explains the jilted husband, Karl Alexander, disappointedly. "For me, it was love, but she just took advantage of me." No. Frederic von Anhalt is incensed by the Austrian woman's audacity. She only wanted the princess title. The American-born man rants against Karina. That's why the Austrian model even sent her managers to Los Angeles to pay her husband, Karl Alexander, Prince of Hohenzollern, so she could continue to use the name. Well, but you can divorce and keep your married surname. You don't need to pay for it. That's odd. Okay. Actually, he was supposed to get $10,000 in cash and another $80,000 after the name change, reveals Frederic von Anhalt. But the Austrians simply tricked Alex, took away his papers, and handed him just $100. But the prince wasn't intimidated by the criminal machinations of Karina's managers. He set a trap for them. "I summoned them to our house and explained that we would do anything they wanted." Frederic proudly recounts his plan. "Then I called the police. Of course, the Austrians were almost peeing themselves with fear. Wait, why? What? Why? They handed over the papers and took off. Oh, by Austrians, he means, I guess, the managers. Carina's managers. How odd. But now, Karl Alexander, Prince of Hohenzollern, is alone again, without a wife, without money. Nevertheless, the 41-year-old hasn't given up hope of finding true love. I'll keep looking and maybe place an ad. Well, it sort of worked for Josefa, the singing mayor. She got a doctor, even if it wasn't a date. Alex, as Frederic affectionately calls him, reveals to Bunte he already knows exactly what his dream woman should be like. Above all, she has to have a great character. Not take advantage of me, and not just want the title, says the Baden-Württemberg native. And one more thing is important to him. I like German women, preferably ones in dirndls. Big breasts would be nice, too. Well, and this is the article, this isn't me. Well, let's wish the prince continued luck in his search for a bride, and hopefully this marriage will last forever. Okay. Royal watchers were not terribly kind to Karl Alexander and his love pursuits. Here we go to Royal Musings, the blog of royal author and genealogist historian Marlene Eilers Koenig, however she pronounces it. And she writes, this is March 6, 2012. Here is Carina herself. Karl Alexander has some explaining to do. Pity poor Carina Prinzessin von Hohenzollern, the new wife of 41-year-old Prince Karl Alexander, a scion of the princely house of Hohenzollern. For real this time. The young African woman who recently married Karl Alexander in Las Vegas has been bragging to the German newspaper Bild that she and her husband will be living at Schloss Sigmaringen. You know, that massive castle that I just showed you, which you can see in the background here of the picture with Carina. Karl Alexander told Bild that he will have the right to live in the castle when his wife becomes pregnant. She's not pregnant, not yet, but Karl Alexander said that we do indeed work hard every day for this. Carina may not know this yet, but her fairy tale has a rude awakening. Prince Karl Alexander does not have the right to live in the castle, which belongs to the head of the house and his family. Karl Frederic, the man I showed you before, the Prince of Hohenzollern, has made it clear that he considers the development of Prince Karl Alexander with great concern. The Prince of Hohenzollern has also stated that his second cousin does not have a right to live at the Schloss. Schloss Sigmaringen has 462 rooms, but no room for Prince Gaga, and is open to the public. Prince Karl Friedrich and his family live in one area of the castle. Other families live in Sigmaringen, as the family owns several other properties. Karl Alexander is a member of a junior branch with no real ties to Sigmaringen. He is also not one of the brightest members of the family. That's Marlene speaking, not me. Although it seems to pan out. Carina has been sending out postcards with a photo of Schloss Sigmaringen with the words, "Welcome to my residence," to friends and family. Okay, so that is indeed a postcard. I thought this was like a Photoshop that someone had done up, possibly Marlene, but no, it's the work of the lady herself. Karl Alexander, called Prince Gaga by the tabloid German press, claims, "In the house rules, I can give my family the right to live at Schloss Sigmaringen as soon as my wife is pregnant. Unfortunately for Karl Alexander, the family laws make no such statement." And continuing the disrespect that that she's showing to this man, possibly rightfully earned, she writes in the comments, "Karl Alexander has serious issues," and then follows it up with, "Karl Alexander is mentally challenged. He has been known as Prince Gaga. His elevator does not go up to the top floor." Tell us how you really feel, Marlene. And Marlene is not alone in her estimation of Prince Gaga. Now I'm going over to another blog of a royal historian. This is an old blog that is no longer updated, but Eurohistory, the blog of the European Royal History Journal, which I don't know if that's still being published, but it used to be, and it was, very good. It wasn't a gossip rag. It was, serious history with serious writers contributing. And the man who ran it, Arturo, the publisher who ran this blog, did excellent work. This is his older website. He had a newer website. I don't know if that is still up, but if it's still up and accessible, it is a treasure trove of information. And sadly, it has not been updated in, I don't know. I stopped checking well over a year ago, but I believe. But anyway, so this is a man who definitely knows his stuff, knows his royals. And this is what he wrote. This is February 24, 2012. The audacity of it all. There's that word again, audacity. For this story is actually rather sad. Prince Karl Alexander of Hohenzollern, only son of the late Prince Emmanuel of Hohenzollern and of his one-time wife, Princess Katharina of Saxe-Weimar-Eisenach, has married a third time. Yes, we're going to find out some more information about the marital history, the rather checkered marital past of Prince Karl Alexander, aka Alex, aka Gaga. Emmanuel and Katharina were the parents of Karl Alexander and of his sister Eugenia, who married a truck driver by the name of Alexander Sauter and used to be a shoe saleswoman in a small German town. Not that retail is a fulfilling profession, but for a royal princess with her background, it is a tad shocking. Now, that's the author writing that. That's not my comment. That's in the article. Continuing, and you may be familiar with this phrase, the groom's elevator doesn't reach the top floor. It never has. Oops. He was previously married to Frau Angela Stolze, nearly 30 years his senior. Okay, this doesn't out Angela's connection to the family beyond Karl Alexander, but the next article will. His second wife was a girl from Georgia, Aslet Tamurovsky, but the marriage was annulled after 6 weeks, much to the unsuspecting bride's delight. One must wonder. And we'll see a picture of a fun picture of Prince Gaga with his former Princess Aslet in the next article. Now, the daring, love-filled groom has married a third time. His new bride is a Congo-born 21-year-old by the name of Corina Nehemi. For some time, Karl Alexander, a man without career or education to speak of, has been living under the roof of the last husband of Zsa Zsa Gabor, the soi-disant prince, so-called Prince Frederic von Anhalt, who is not an Anhalt nor a prince, since he purchased an adoption from an impoverished Anhalt princess who would accept money for adoptions. Lovely it is not. And again, that's the article, not my comment. Continuing, an exclusive was sold to German magazine Bild, that nation's version of the National Enquirer. Oh, I thought it was slightly higher quality than that, more like Us magazine or something, but okay. Surely an escapade to raise money for the faux prince and the idiot prince. How sad what some royalties have degenerated into. Again, that's not me, that's the article. To add insult to injury, the groom, his sponsor, and the bride expect us credible news organizations to attend a press conference. Really? Vraiment désolé, or really sorry, or really sad, whichever. And here is a photograph of Prince Gaga in his more Scott Adams incarnation, less the Napoleon Dynamite look of his younger years, with his last bride, Corina, on his lap, or maybe he's hoisting her in the air, I'm not sure. But he's giving her a smooch, she's looking at the camera, and they are at the Little White Wedding Chapel drive-in window. Nothing says romance like a drive-through wedding. Do you get fries with that? That would be nice. Okay, so, and yeah, someone comments, oh, I think the lady is actually Maya Sonia, but no, I believe this indeed because they're actually in Vegas. I do believe that is Corina, although Maya Sonia, well, she had a different look. We'll see her coming up right now. And here again, this is Corina, the princess, and the no longer princess, I guess. They're divorced. And the prince, Carl Alexander, a.k.a. Prince Gaga. So, here, 1 second. Yes, this is the article with the dirt, the juice, the tea. So this says, the 50th anniversary, meaning, 50th birthday, of Prince Carl Alexander of Hohenzollern, well, it says Sigmaringen. It should be Emden. On 26 October 1970, His Serene Highness Prince Carl Alexander Franz Josef Wilhelm Ernst Meinrad of Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen, actually Emden, was born in Hechingen, the second child and only son of Prince Emmanuel, 1929 to 1999, and Princess, well, that says Ekaterina because this has been translated from Russian. It should be just Katerina. Ney, born Princess of Saxe-Weimar, born in 1943. I thought she was no longer with us, but I'm not sure. I can't remember right now. Prince Gaga, as the German tabloids affectionately call him, has been officially married at least 3 times. Here we go. Okay, now here is Prince Gaga in his Scott Adams incarnation on the left. And then over here he is with his more Napoleon Dynamite look with his second wife. This is a very odd photograph. Okay, continuing. In 1991, Carl Alexander, born 1970, first married Angela Stolzle, born 1942. His father's former lover. Ew. I've got the serious ick. He married his father's mistress, who was 30 years older than himself. The marriage lasted until 1997. Well, 6 years. That's not a bad run, all things considering. In 2002, the prince married a Yugoslav woman named Aslet Tamarovsky, 5 years younger than him. That is the, apparently topless lady behind him in this photo below. The marriage was dissolved after 6 weeks. Then in 2011, a wedding was planned with the model Maya Sonia, but it did not work out. His third wife was Corina, a native of Luanda, in 2012. I thought they said she was from the Congo. Luanda's not in the Congo. Well, there are 2 Luandas. There's one in, Angola, and another in Kenya, I think. Oh, maybe there's a Luanda in the Congo as well. But anyway, I guess she's from somewhere in Africa. She is 20 years younger than her prince. After the wedding, Prince Carl Alexander demanded the right to live in the Sigmaringen family castle from his uncle. Oh, it's not his uncle. It's his second cousin, Carl Frederic. The marriage did not last long. Before the divorce, the prince gave interviews to various yellow publications, meaning tabloids, telling piquant details of the relationship. Yes, we didn't see it in the articles we read, but one of his complaints about Corina was that she would not even let him kiss her. Well, we saw a photograph of him kissing her, but I guess in their private time when the cameras weren't around, she wouldn't let him even kiss her, and she certainly wouldn't let him attempt to make the children which he was claiming to the press that they were busy working on, that they were getting busy trying to create an heir. But apparently that didn't happen. Okay. So Corina sought the right to continue to use the title of Princess von Hohenzollern. For several decades, Prince Carl Alexander has not communicated with his family. For some reason, I can't imagine why, they do not like his antics. The late Romanian King Michael was a second cousin of Carl Alexander's father. the prince's great-grandfather was the last Duke of Saxe-Weimar. Well, that would have to be on the mother's side. The current head of the House of Hohenzollern is his second cousin. Correct. The prince's grandmother, Princess Felicita, is it not Felicitas, of Weimar, née Solms, celebrated her 100th birthday in the spring. Wow. Here is a photograph from his interview last year where he was asked whether he would accept an offer to work in a swingers club. Well, there's an earlier photo of Prince Gaga. And that, I believe, is a photograph of Prince Gaga with Maya Sonia. I believe that was the fiancée that he didn't quite manage to get to the altar, or rather the drive-in window in Las Vegas. And then down here, that's him with Corina, who clearly looks different than... they're both ladies from, I guess, Africa or of African descent, but, they're clearly different ladies. And then there's this. And then there's this. And, okay, it's Prince Gaga. He's at least topless. There's like a leopard print blanket. And then there's what appears to be Corina sleeping. And who took the photograph? And why? And why was it published? How did it get public? That is creepy. This looks like something out of like a Dateline NBC, crime documentary, true crime documentary. This is one of the most cursed photos I've seen that doesn't have something obviously, scary or otherwise inappropriate in it. And then there we go again. There's Princess Corina with what was described literally in one of the articles as a tiara from Claire's accessories. Like, I'm not kidding. It said that upon their marriage, that Prince Gaga and Princess Corina had a photo shoot in which she was presented with a plastic tiara from Claire's accessories. As one does. I believe that Prince William did the same with Kate Middleton, presented her with a tiara from Claire's accessories until she could actually wear the real thing. Anyway, and this was the most recent photo of Prince Gaga. This is from when he was asked, would you work in a swingers club? And I'm guessing by the smile on his face, I'm guessing the answer would be a quick yes, a very firm yes. All right, now a little bit of an update. This was older news. This was what, 10 more years ago that he was with Corina and that marriage ended. So where is Prince Gaga today? Well, this is from October of 2023, and you guessed it, he's looking for true love. He's looking for a boyfriendless girl. Prince Karl Alexander of Hohenzollern is searching for wife number 4. If you don't succeed, try again. And there he is. I swear, here I really think he looks like Scott Adams, but that's me. Here he is again. This says Karl Alexander in his childhood home, and you can see the weird sort of wicker light cover, light fixture, chandelier thing. And Alexander, I wonder, it looks like a child's art project. I wonder if he made that in shop class, and his parents proudly hung it up, possibly the last thing they were proud of regarding Prince Gaga in his life, but... Okay, so the text says, 48-year-old Karl Alexander has recently stated that he is on the lookout for a 4th wife. And then it goes over again. In 1991, he married Angela, who at one time was his father's mistress. In 2002, he wed Aslet Tamarovsky. And then in 2012, he married Corina, who here has the surname of Leo da Costa, born 1990, née Nehemi. So I guess she was married prior to her marriage to Karl Alexander. And that is a wedding. That is a photograph from the wedding of Gaga's parents. If you want to know where Gaga came from, that's his dad, and that's his mom. I would say he favors his mother, but I'll let you be the judge. And yes, 1968, Princess Katharina of Saxe-Weimar and Prince Emmanuel of Hohenzollern, who would then betray this woman to go be with the woman who would marry their son. Mega creepy. Okay, and there's, let's see, Prince Emmanuel of Hohenzollern and his cousin, Prince Louis Ferdinand of Prussia, who is no longer with us, if it's the Louis Ferdinand, I think it is, but he's also a Hohenzollern. That's the branch that were the kings of Prussia and the German emperors, all Hohenzollerns, one big family. Not always so happy. And there's Prince Gaga, again, with his father, Prince Emmanuel. And then that's his aunt, Duchess Maria Margareta of Mecklenburg, née Hohenzollern. So born a princess of Hohenzollern. So that's his sister. And I guess you can see the family resemblance. And you can see even more that, yeah, Gaga favors his mother because he has the sort of longer face. And his father and aunt have more of a sort of a rounder face. And continuing with the text. Okay, well, this is repetitive information. So it talks about his full name and where he was born and his parents and his sister. And here's a very old photograph of his grandfather, his paternal grandfather, Prince Franz Josef, who in this postcard, he's named as Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen, not the Emden suffix. And it's clearly the wedding. And that's his brother. You can see the resemblance. And I think that's his sister, but maybe don't hold me to that. But definitely, look, twins. And, okay, we don't need to look at all of these. So then it just goes into more genealogy of who was the ancestor of whom. So as of this stream, as I am speaking right now, we're 2 years, well, a little less than 2 years from the publication of this article. Or actually, the article is dated from 2019, but it says update 2023. So I'm going to take it as of a little less than 2 years ago. Prince Carl Alexander is looking for new love. I don't believe he has found it. I was unable to find if he, in the interim, has found a new wife, a new love. But if you're interested, I imagine he will be looking and looking. And even if he has another wife, even if he found number 4, I have a feeling he will be looking for number 5 as long as he is alive to do it. So if you recall, earlier I mentioned pin Zsa Zsa Gabor in your mind. If you are familiar with her, then you may or may not know all of these details. If you aren't familiar with her, then I'm here to just kind of fill that in. Again, she's worthy of probably a series of shows just on her own, a very colorful life. And her last husband, the widower, Prince Frederic von Anhalt, as he calls himself, he is definitely worthy of a show unto himself. He's a very interesting character who continues to make headlines. But let's take a very, very brief look at Zsa Zsa and Prince Frederic, her fake prince, last husband, before we wrap things up for today. And if you've been here with us, hopefully since the beginning, following along, this is French Dip Empire. I'm the Empress, and do us a favor, hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe, comment in the chat if you're listening live, and comment on the video if you're listening on the replay. Every little bit helps get YouTube's attention to promote the channel to other viewers, and also on our march toward monetization so that we can offer more functionality on the channel, memberships, super chats, super stickers, and much more. So this is Zsa Zsa Gabor. If you don't know, she died in 2016. She was a Hungarian lady who came to America with her two sisters and their mother. She was a former beauty queen in Hungary, as you may be able to see if you have eyes on screen. And more importantly, for decades, or not importantly, but more to the point, she was kind of just one of those people that was always sort of famous for decades in the United States, possibly elsewhere. She appeared in the American media. She was the kind of lady that would appear on chat shows, game shows, just sort of make random appearances as that lady who was famous. She was known for having many, many husbands. As I scroll down, you will see she had 9. This list over here, Frederic, the fake Prince of Anhalt, being her last husband. And if you look here, husband number 2 was Conrad Hilton. Yes, of that Hilton family. This Conrad Hilton was the one who founded the Hilton hotel chain. He and Zsa Zsa had a daughter together, Francesca, who died, I think it was about 10 years ago. She had an interesting but troubled life herself. But obviously the marriage of Conrad Hilton and Zsa Zsa did not last. Zsa Zsa was not his first wife, but through Conrad Hilton's first wife, he had a couple sons, one of whom was the grandfather of Paris Hilton and her sister, Nikki Hilton Rothschild, who I'm sure you are probably very familiar with. And one of the other sons of Conrad Hilton that he had with his first wife, not with Zsa Zsa, was also called Nikki Hilton. He was but he was the male Nikki Hilton. There's female, girl Nikki Hilton. That's the one who's married to the Rothschild now. But Nikki Hilton, boy Nikki Hilton, who is no longer with us, he was a hot mess. He died young. But before he did, he became one of the many husbands of the late actress Elizabeth Taylor, who is going to play a minor role in my upcoming series on the Iranian imperial family, which was supposed to be today's show, but I found this information out about Prince Harald, the not quite Hohenzollern prince, but the Diamond Prince. I think he's entitled to call himself that, or was. He's now deceased. So, getting back to Zsa Zsa, just to explain who is the fake Prince Frederic von Anhalt and why is Zsa Zsa Gabor connected to this. So Prince Frederic von Anhalt was let's call him matchmaker, because that's a nice term, for the real Prince Gaga, the real Prince of Hohenzollern, one of the princes of Hohenzollern. And Prince Frederic von Anhalt became famous by marrying Zsa Zsa Gabor as her last husband. And so here's Zsa Zsa and her sisters and their mother. There's Zsa Zsa in the center back here. Her sister Ava, who, if you know of the old sitcom Green Acres, Ava was the wife on that. She was also an actress, the second most famous Gabor sister. Then there was Magda, who was doesn't in my mind have any sort of noteworthy media accomplishments, but all 3 of the sisters were like famous socialites back in the day, and they all married many, many times. Zsa Zsa married the most, and oddly, Zsa Zsa and Magda, they shared one husband, not at the same time, but they married the same man, like one and then the other. Zsa Zsa married him first, if I remember correctly, and then Magda married him after that. That's creepy and weird to me, but I guess it's not quite as creepy as marrying the 30 years older than you mistress of your father. You tell me, listeners, what do you think? Watchers, listeners, viewers, what do you think? What's creepier, marrying your sister's ex-husband or marrying your father's mistress who's 30 years older than you? I'm going to go with the latter, but they're both pretty creepy. And of course, this is their mother, Jolie, like Angelina, Jolie Gabor. And what's kind of funny as time goes by, these ladies were considered like hotties. They were like hotties back in the day. They were kind of like Kardashians back in the, I guess, 50s, 60s, that era. But to my eyes, my modern eyes, they just look like a bunch of grandmas. Or future grandmas, but they have kind of grandma looks, grandma styling. They don't look very youthful. They don't really look like, your typical hotties. They look like a bunch of grandmas. But back in the day, these were hotties. And I found this just to sort of drive home Zsa Zsa Gabor's cultural position, if you're not that familiar with her. I found this lovely write-up on the blog of Pee Wee Herman. Yeah, the real Pee Wee Herman, like Paul Rubens, this apparently, who, again, he is no longer with us. He died not that long ago. But at the time, in 2016, when Zsa Zsa Gabor, Princess Zsa Zsa, passed, he did a little write-up because in 1988, Princess Zsa Zsa appeared on Pee Wee Herman's Christmas special television show. And there she is. And here she is with Pee Wee in a very, very late 80s dress. Those big poofy sleeves and the big giant skirt, very 80s, very, very on point. And then Pee Wee recommends that we check Zsa Zsa out in the 1958 cult sci-fi film Queen of Outer Space. And so she may not have been a princess, but she definitely was a queen. Queen Zsa Zsa, Princess Zsa Zsa. She was Queen of Outer Space. She became the fake Princess von Anhalt. And we're not going to read too much more, but there are some fantastic photos that I would love to share. Here is the fake Prince Frederic von Anhalt with Princess Zsa Zsa. I'm guessing that tiara is probably more likely to actually have gemstones in it than the Claire's accessory tiara that Karina, the real, at one point, Princess of Hohenzollern, albeit by marriage, was sporting. And I couldn't decide whether I should pick the photograph of Prince Frederic sitting in a chair like a king with the mural behind him, whether I should choose the picture of Zsa Zsa sitting like a queen by her pool with Frederic standing, or whether I should choose the picture of the Anhalts with their lapdogs and a golden rocking horse. These are all pretty wild, very pretentious. I don't know why he's wearing a sort of military outfit with epaulets and honors, a medal, because to the best of my knowledge, fake Prince Frederic von Anhalt did not serve in the military. I don't believe. He has a Wikipedia page. We can check it. We will in a moment. I don't believe he served in the military. So I imagine that this is kind of like when Michael Jackson would wear military type outfits and epaulets and whatnot. Hey, he's even got a white glove. Maybe he was just inspired by Michael Jackson. And then I found this photograph. This is we're definitely going to have to do some shows on Zsa Zsa and Prince Frederic because there's a lot of details. It's totally wild. If you remember, does anyone remember when Princess Zsa Zsa slapped the cop in Beverly Hills? And that was a whole thing. Well, anyway, these are the final days of Princess Zsa Zsa with her prince. And this picture on the surface, you just go, okay, it's the two elderly people and they're kind of posh. If we look in the back here, that must be a portrait of Zsa Zsa with her only child, Francesca Hilton. I kind of like their little book tower over here and the pot of violets. They have framed photographs of horses, which is nice. And they have the rather questionable statue, it's like a little table. This would not be considered terribly appropriate Probably wasn't even then. Little racist, some might say. But here's the weirdest detail. Oh, and okay, the second weirdest. This is pretty odd. Now, if you thought this was just like a thing, like, oh, it's just one thing. What exactly is this? It's like a little carving of a black baby? An African infant? I'm not really sure what's going on here, why you have a small child sculpture on the bottom. It's weird. But you may have noticed the weirdest aspect of this entire photo. Everything looks really nice, right? Look at the cushion. Look at the cushion. It's got like a foot-long tear in it with the batting, the stuffing coming out of it. That's utterly bizarre. And you can't tell me that this is from a Vanity Fair photo shoot. You can't tell me they have the best, photographers for this sort of thing. You can't tell me they didn't notice. You can't tell me the writer, the staff, whoever was there, the camera, the photographer's assistants, the photographer would have noticed. They staged the shot, So my question is, did they just leave this in here to be perverse? Usually if you have a bad side of something, you turn it. This side doesn't look like it has a tear in it. Are the other sides even worse? That you couldn't put the good side toward the camera? Okay, that's just me being a little, fussy. But it's just very odd considering everything else looks fairly nice. Okay. And then I wanted to, okay, so here, first I'll show, this is the Wikipedia page, and I know Wikipedia is sometimes unreliable, but as far as I've checked, most of this stuff seems to be legit and check out. And you can see, here it is Frederic, Prince von Anhalt, née, meaning born, Hans Robert Lichtenberg. Now, I could have sworn that a previous article said that this man was born in America, but here we see he was born in Germany, which Hans Robert Lichtenberg, it sounds like he might be German. Trained as a baker, worked in the central market halls, later operated several sauna clubs. Okay. And then this is the proof, and I mentioned people paying to get titles as surnames, which they then use as titles, even though they aren't entitled. Sorry to use the pun, but they aren't entitled to use it as a title, only as a surname. So here we go. Adoption and professed title. In 1980, Lichtenberg was adopted by Princess Marie Augusta of Anhalt, a legit princess. Then in her 80s, upon adoption, Lichtenberg's name became Frederic, Prince von Anhalt. Prince is part of the legal surname in Germany and not a princely title according to modern German law. We went over this earlier. Despite having no claim to royal or aristocratic heritage, Prince von Anhalt styles himself Prince Frederic of Anhalt, Duke of Saxony and Westphalia, Count of Ascania. And then moving ahead, it says British press reports indicate that Marie Augusta was almost bankrupt and the adoption was a business transaction allegedly masterminded by Hans Hermann Weyer, a former window dresser who became the honorary consul of Bolivia in Luxembourg. It sounds vaguely shady, doesn't it? Weyer was also known for selling certificates of nobility, doctoral degrees from fictitious universities, and other spurious decorations in Germany in the 1960s. Lichtenberg was one of about 35 adults adopted by the ex-princess, some then styling themselves Princes of Anhalt. Regardless of the adoption by Marie Augusta, a member of the deposed ducal family of Anhalt, the House of Ascania's website makes no mention of Frederic Prince von Anhalt. He is not blood related, and the family does not recognize him as a member or nobility because he is not. And here, I missed it. Here it is. Okay, so this was Princess Maria Augusta. If you were curious, she died in 1983, and she was at one point married to a Prussian prince who was a son of the last Kaiser, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, a Hohenzollern. So we're kind of bringing it full circle back to the Hohenzollerns, as we started this stream off talking about Prince Harald, alleged Prince Harald von Hohenzollern, who turns out to be a fake prince, not holding a title of prince, merely a surname, which he didn't get through adoption, but he got it through marrying the ex-wife of an actual prince. Fantastic. And in the end, and this is wrapping up today's story, today's show, an article from 2018. This is, I think, Town and Country. Zsa Zsa Gabor's widower finally admits he simply bought his royal title, but he insists his late wife knew all along. And here's Zsa Zsa and Frederic. Prince Frederic von Anhalt was Zsa Zsa Gabor's 9th husband and stayed with her until her death. But in a new interview, von Anhalt admits he bought his royal title. He insists Gabor knew about his real identity and found his theatrics entertaining. I'm sure she appreciated the publicity. Zsa Zsa loved, other than marrying again and again, she loved attention, loved publicity. So I'm not reading this entire article right now. We will do future shows. We will look at Zsa Zsa. We will look at Prince Frederic, the fake Prince Frederic. But just this part is what I wanted to read to really show you who this guy is. In a wide-ranging interview with The Hollywood Reporter, von Anhalt admitted that he swindled and bought his way to his fancy title, which is technically Prince Frederic von Anhalt, Duke of Saxony and Westphalia, Count of Ascania. He was born Hans Robert Lichtenberg, and his parents were a bookkeeper and a police detective. He bought his title by being, quote, adopted, unquote. Oh, well, I mean, he was actually adopted, but not in the loving sense, by Princess Marie Augusta von Anhalt in exchange for 2,000 marks a month. I needed a door opener. It was a tool, von Anhalt said. This was a business decision. Show business. He then used his title to make money through sham marriages and adoptions and selling off knighthoods. Well, it seems like he just stepped into the role that that Weyer guy who hooked him up, like he just basically became the new Hans Hermann Weyer. He said he made more than $10 million that way. And later he became Prince Regent of the Principality of Sealand, a country established on an aircraft platform by people who wanted to dodge taxes. That's actually kind of an interesting story that we don't have time for, but if you look online, there are like little YouTube videos about it and whatnot. It's an interesting story. He quit that position in 1983. These days, you can become a Duke of Sealand for $734.99. You know, you leave that penny off and it seems like a deal. If it were $735, no way, I'd not do it. But if it's $734.99, well, you've got a sale. Why skimp on your titles? Pay top dollar for your title. Get a good one. Not Sealand. Go pay for an actual fake European German title, for example. Don't accept Sealand. Go for Anhalt, go for Hohenzollern, go find something a little bit more legit, with a little bit more history behind it. And then not one to shun the limelight or the spotlight. Here is Prince Frederic von Anhalt poses at a 44-foot-high billboard on Sunset Boulevard, celebrating 25 years of marriage to Zsa Zsa Gabor on July 27, 2011. That's actually fairly impressive that they were together for at least 25 years. What year was this? 2011. She died 5 years after that. So really, they were married for 30 years. Gosh, it didn't seem that long. But at the end of her life, Zsa Zsa was rather ill and kind of, dropped out of the public life. Although I think there was a little maybe he exposed her at the end when she was a little too old to be in front of cameras and whatnot. But when we cover Frederic and Zsa Zsa in the future, we will get more into that. Although I have to say, he looks very spiffy with his blue blazer, his green dotted tie, and the matching. Although, why does he have two, well, they're not pocket squares. It looks like just two handkerchiefs shoved into his pocket. Well, okay, that's odd. But anyway, so that's Prince Frederic, the fake Prince von Anhalt, the not truly Princess Zsa Zsa. I like it, the please celebrate with us, and then there's a website address. That's unusual. Anyway, so that's Zsa Zsa and the fake Prince Frederic, and we had fake Prince Harald. We had real Prince Gaga and real Prince Karl Friedrich. And I think that covers all of our princes and princesses. Well, we had real Princess Maria Augusta. So that concludes the story, the mysterious death of the Diamond Prince, Prince Harald of Hohenzollern. It's been solved. Mystery solved. And we'll put that one to bed. And R.I.P. to the Diamond Prince. And best wishes to the singing mayor, his widow, not quite Princess Josefa, who in theory is still running for mayor of Leonberg, I believe it was. And did I get the town right? She was mayor of one town. Now she's running for mayor of another town. And she is about to give birth at any moment, if it hasn't happened while I've been streaming, to a baby boy that they were intending to call Leopold. So if we hear about the birth, I will give an update on the story of Josefa. And in the future, we have, I have a bunch of shows coming up. I am going to start a series on the imperial family of Iran, the scandals of nothing, no politics except in passing. It's going to be scandals. It's going to be the juicy stuff, the tea. And I'm going to be doing another installment in my series on Le Bal des Débutantes 2024. I have to finish that series before this year's ball occurs at the end of the year. So I'm going to be working on that. More royal family stories and more updates and continuations on the series that are already on the channel. If you check, there are playlists, and if you want to run through all one topic, like the scandals of the Norwegian family, for example, we've got the playlist. You can just go right through there, and we will be adding to them as the days go on. So thank you for joining me. This is Friendship Empire. I am the Empress. On your way out, click like, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and come back for more shows. Thank you for listening. I've enjoyed streaming. I hope you've enjoyed listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.